Good morning. My name is Pam, and I'll be sharing the first testimony. I want to thank Pastor Tryphena and PLUC for the opportunity. I was so excited yesterday that I choked on a chicken bone. Yeah, so if halfway I share and I choke up, right, it's not because I was crying because of the chicken bone. All right, so my name is Pam. I'm going to be reading from the paper to just save time, yeah? So I'm currently working for the church as the merchandise business coordinator and a graphic designer. I have been about 2 years serving in the full-time ministry. So today I'm going to share a story about how God restored my identity in Him. I will start with how I view myself as a child. I was raised in a typical Chinese family. My parents have 3 daughters, and I'm the youngest. My mom often told others that I was quite difficult to handle. My sisters are obedient and quite girly. I was the opposite. I was curious, I was adventurous and emotional. My mom did not know how to handle me, and she would often nag at me to be more like my sisters. And because of my emotional nature, I cry a lot. But over time, I learned to suppress those tears because I also learned that I should not cry in front of others. Of course, it's not true lah. Now that I reflected on all of this, I realized I could not embrace who God made me to be when I was younger, and that created a lot of frustration. Because of that, I often challenge my family's rules, and at the same time, I find ways to make them proud. So it is a very confusing childhood. So basically, I grew up with 2 lies. The first lie is that I believe my identity is my appearance. From young, I have a physical, my physique is a bit more chunky. So I face a lot of rejection towards my outward appearance. I remember my mom once showed me in my new dress to my dad, and she asked my dad to comment on how I look, and my dad was like, if she loses a little bit of weight, she'll be beautiful. You think, so I was like, okay, so my identity is tied into being thin lah. And then over the years, from childhood to young adult, my family often comment on my weight, and as if that was my only value. I inherently believe I was not worthy to be seen because I was not thin like others. I really hated how I look, that I hated looking at the mirror. Every time I look at the mirror, I get so angry. I believe I was staring at the face of a monster, and that's how the lie has grown lah. The lie stayed with me for a while. I didn't realize it, that I was not afraid to walk through dark alleys alone because I believed that no man would touch me because I was so ugly. So that's a lie. A lie number 2 that I grew up with was that I believe I was not worthy to be pursued. It did not help that boys often bullied me right from I think since standard 1, I was a case of bully victim lah. And I remember as I grew older in high school, I attended a combined school gathering to represent my school. And one of the boys told my friend that they were quite disappointed when they saw me because they were expecting a hot chick to represent my school. Then I showed up. Yeah, so I think when my friend told me that, that really broke my heart lah. And then I think in college, I was also the focus joke for all my guy friends. They would call me Pamzilla, and if I ever ran to them, they would all pretend that I was an earthquake and fall down. Yeah, so it was that. So I remember once asking a guy friend whether it was okay if we spent so much time together when he just started a relationship, and his reply to me was that, Pam, my girlfriend has seen you. You are no threat to her. Yeah. So all of this led me to believe that no guys would ever consider me desirable. Subconsciously, I avoided boys because I was afraid of what they were going to say to me. I became very comfortable among the company of girls. I feel accepted, and most girls would not be so rude to make fun of my weight. And that's how I became drawn to girls. They make me feel safe. In return, I wanted to protect them. Despite these feelings, the attraction to same gender, I never acted on them, even before I became a Christian. I did not want to disappoint my family, and I thought maybe these feelings would go away when I become older. I was quite surprised that my attraction to women remained with me even when I came to know Christ. And since I was taught from young to keep everything to myself, I never disclosed this to anyone. I was afraid people would leave me because when I became Christ, I found belonging in church, and I didn't want to lose what I had. So, however, these thoughts became... Sorry, I told you I'm emotional, right? And also the chicken bone are stuck inside. Yeah. Because these thoughts became a torment. It became a torment to me. It affected a lot of my close relationship. Not that I did anything, it's just that there's a lot of mess lah. So anyway, when I heard that there are Christians who are openly gay and lesbian, I wondered if God is okay with me to follow that path. So I went to research to learn about their thought processes and experiences from the internet. However, my heart was not convinced until I discovered a former gay's testimony. In his testimony, he shared that he fell in love with God, and he was trying to find an explanation for his attraction to guys. For him, it was clear that God does not approve of gay sexuality, and he chose to abstain from this lifestyle because he loves God. His exact words were, "I am a child of God first, before my sexuality." His testimony moved me because to me that was the evidence of his relationship to God. He loved God and he's willing to sacrifice his desire. With that clarity, I decided to come out. I shared to my leaders that I have such struggles and I needed help. And my church really journeyed with me. Even my leader who is seated right here, Adeline, she helped me connect to PLUC, and that's where I met Pastor Tryphena. And through their counseling sessions, I began to surrender this secret part of me. And to my surprise, Pastor Tryphena was right. Beneath my attraction to the same gender, my core identity was a mess. I learned to surrender the lies that I did not realize were lies. The beginning of the battle initially was very hard. Every day I wake up and the thoughts of like girls, the lust all came, and I have to meditate on God's word. I remember one counseling I broke down because I was just so tired of fighting. But I held on to God's word and to God as my Father. Yeah, so my greatest discovery through this journey is that I could relate to God as my Father. I began to take pride that I am my Father's daughter, that I'm safe and I can be myself without rejection. This was my key breakthrough because my own earthly father was a broken man. My mom and dad had some relationship issue when they were young. I witnessed the fallout of my parents' marriage when I was 7. So I think I have to process a lot of this from young, and I had no one to process with, so I had to deal with it later on in life. So my dad was hardly present. So I learned, through this journey, I really learned that God is enough for me. And one day, I really hope and believe that God can use me to restore my family the way the Lord has restored me. So God is very thorough in healing my identity. I remember one morning as I looked into the mirror, instead of the usual dread, I was staring at the mirror, and this amazing revelation came. I said, "Oh my gosh, I look beautiful." And yeah, thank you. And it was not from a place of pride. I was just enjoying that look, and I realized something within me changed. I realized it was God's grace. I was just looking at God's creation. Of course, it's a journey. It's not a one-day thing. And there was another time, after a long day of ministry, I drove home and I was tired. And I had a thought, I said, it would be nice if I drive home to a family or someone that I love waiting for me. So of course, in other words, I had a longing to get married. But the moment the thought came, I actually scold myself and said, how can you think of such thing? Only normal girls can desire this. You are not normal. So if you guys do not know me, but even in my 20s, right, I actually believe that I was celibate for life because no guys will pursue me. And the moment I confessed that, I had those thoughts, the Lord, Holy Spirit came and rebuked me. He was like, Pam, how dare you call my creation ugly? How dare you call my creation unworthy? I pursue you first. You are beautiful. And with that, I repented. Until today, God continues to work in me. He continues to help me develop a very strong emotional awareness to just learn about who I am in Him. And I will continue that journey. I hope what I shared today encouraged you. Thank you.
It breaks my heart to hear of stories like Pamela. It breaks the Lord's heart to see His creation, what God had intended to be, godly women. The worth of a woman and man are not measured on the outside. And the late Martin Luther King said it very well. It's not about the color of our skin, but rather the contents of our character. God has done incredible things in people's lives worldwide. I feel very badly for children and kids who had the experience like that of Pamela, the bullying experience. And I happen to be a psychologist. I didn't want to be a psychologist because dealing with people is very messy. I've seen that in my parents, so I try to avoid it. But I wanted to satisfy my mother when I was born and raised in Hong Kong. And then my mom said, you're not going to make it into the only university of Hong Kong. And so why don't you go abroad? And I did. And I realized I had to satisfy my mother. So I want to finish as quickly as possible. And I got into geology, the study of rocks. He said, wow, how boring. You know, it wasn't about geology, the study of rocks, but rather the teachers and professors who were Christians who loved me. And for me to realize, oh, being a man, being a father is like that of the late Mr. Orr, the geologist from Caltech, and others like him. And wow. So I just want to graduate, satisfy my mom, and so-called, with all due respect to my mother, get her off my back. And then I fell in love with a girl in the senior year of college. I like her, I love her, and she loves me. When we were about to finish my college education, she said, my mother said, I should get married. I'm from Hong Kong, I'm not stupid. But I'm not about to propose to her. So I realized something was wrong. What's wrong with me? Now, I went to a school called University of California, Berkeley, UC Berkeley, where you see the beginning or the blossoming of the civil rights movement and then hippies. I pride myself of somewhat of a hippie culture person. So she wanted to get married. I'm not about to be the groom. So I helped her get married to her former boyfriend. And I said, this is crazy, you know. All of my friends will say, Melvin, you're so crazy, you know, you have to hate her. If you hate her, then you can get rid of her. But honestly, I didn't hate her. I think I still love her, but not like the boyfriend, girlfriend. So I realized for the first time in my life, no matter whatever education I've had, it wasn't going to help me. So I went back to church, studied about Romans, about love and all that. I realized, oh, this agape love. Eros and so on. So I thought I did the right thing, and I realized I cannot have a future in geology and the study of rocks. But the pain that drove me, I would say, I wanted to help people. What can I do? So I started to study people's skulls, or before I was studying 石頭 rocks, 石頭, and now I'm studying 人頭, heads. So this is where I came from, okay, from the position of love. So when stories of that of Pamela and others like her, it breaks my heart because it resonates, kind of the pain button in me. And I'll say, what can I do for women like that? What can I do for boys and guys like that? And so I started to realize, I want to deal with divorces. Divorces are very painful because you have husband and wife, your children and all that. And then later on I realized people who are struggling with same-sex attraction, LGBT, they are even more painful because they're hidden. By the grace of God, I didn't know what I was doing, to tell you the truth. I was just kind of navigating here and there, and trying to find out what can I do to attain to the pain. And then I became the honorary director of the pastoral counseling program in the Baptist Seminary in Hong Kong. And all of them, my students, very bright ones, they'll say, well, Dr. Wong, I think you're a pain chaser. So my handle was made, pain chasing. That took me to Singapore. Long story short, and it was 25 years ago, I don't remember, a long time ago. And then there are leaders that told me, Melvin, this is over in in Singapore, during breakfast, and she'll say, let's talk about the H subject. I said, okay, what about the H subject? And she said, you should be writing something. Me writing something about the H subject? I'm from California. If you talk about the H subject, homosexuality, publicly, in a conservative manner, you get a lot of consequences. And so we talk in codes. We talk about the H subject. And recently, in Malaysia, we talk about the M subject. It's not Malaysian. It's masturbation. Wow. So we talk about these things, and she says, well, why don't you write a book? I said, are you serious? I'll be coming to Singapore in about 3 weeks. You want me to write a book so you can publish it when I arrive? She said, keep me 45 pages. I said, I can do 45 pages. So it became 90 pages. And here is the book called Raising Gender Confident Kids. Little did I know, gender confidence was the topic I picked because I was trying to say, how do you prevent homosexuality? If that were the title, this book would not appear on the Amazon website. As you know, Amazon has been banning books that has to do with homosexuality now. But it's still around. Okay? Don't tell anybody, okay? Gender confidence. I was trying to use a very neutral, kind of empowering title. So what happened to Pamela was she wasn't brought up to have a confident gender manifestation. It wasn't really her fault. The femininity quality of her, not depending on appearance, has to be from her mother. But then our mothers are not very healthy. I'm a psychologist, and I've done a lot of things psychology. And heard of Sigmund Freud? The great psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud, everything is about the mother. I beg to disagree. It's not about the mother. It's the man behind the mother. So, the mother couldn't give what she did not have, femininity. The husband is supposed to encourage her femininity, to love her, so she could properly parent her children, particularly daughters. So it's really a man issue. So gender confidence is not only about, this girl, this boy, and so on. It's really about the parents. So I think that can be helped in some way. So So I wrote this book called Raising Gender Confident Kids, a practical guide. It's only 89, 90 pages. It's really a non-religious, non-psychobabble, kind of supposed to be plain language book about how gender can be developed. There are about 6 stages. Very simple. Pamela talked about being bullied. Why do we have bullying in school, middle school, elementary school? Because the bullies were not confident in their own gender. You threatens my gender, so I push you, I bully you, I belittle you. Children are very cruel. And they feel threatened, they say bad things about you, and so both people like Pamela or the bullies, they don't have gender confidence, meaning I am happy with myself. And it is okay to have friends that are not the same. And then this book was published in Singapore. It wasn't available on Amazon. But some of our friends in Hong Kong realized that, and we're trying to get it translated into Chinese. And a pastor in Hong Kong translated it, and then it was published in Taiwan. And last year in Taiwan, we have an international movement called Rainbow Crossing. The Lord's hand is working, like here in Malaysia. First through Singapore, come out and come home. This is all the genius and the blessing from Singapore. In Taiwan, there is also somebody who didn't know anything about LGBT or Christian faith. And he said, the Lord moved me so we can do something like Rainbow Crossing International Conference. And at the end of the conference, we have white American pastor Jim Doman and a Taiwanese indigenous person, Hanson Wu, formerly gay activist and HIV infected, the two of them using Chinese and English. And they have a new declaration for this international alliance movement. The first statement was, it's not about gender pride. It's not about pride parade. It's about gender confidence. I said, wow. So I was in part of they crafted the declaration. I think gender confidence has just become a very special term. I had no idea that's what it was, what it would become. We have to raise gender confidence and have a new kind of gender confidence nation. Hong Kong is also ahead. In Hong Kong, I'm so very blessed and privileged to have my good friend, Dr. Hong. We were minding our own business. We were kind of low-profile people. We were kind of, I go to Hong Kong and talk about this thing, that thing, and Dr. Hong came up and we talked about that and that. Oh, lo and behold, we came from the same high school in Hong Kong. We did not know that until just maybe 10 years ago. And the Hong Kong leaders have realized, oh, we need to do something about the gender confidence, and they published a book only 65 pages long. The 2 chapters are in English and translated in Chinese. The others are in Chinese. But Dr. Hong's specialty is he's more like a pastor and mentor, entrepreneur for the kingdom. He's founded a couple of ministries, and one of them is called PGA. It's not the golf place. It's Pro-Gays Alliance. Coined the term ex-gay versus post-gay. Post-gay is more accurate. And I am so happy. Now and then I will pass through Hong Kong and I'll look up Dr. Hong for breakfast. We'll talk about what's the next frontier, transgenderism. So I'll be very happy to hear him today talking about transgenderism. I'm just a psychologist. I taught psychiatry at UCSF School of Medicine. And well, it's very honoring for a psychologist to be part of the psychiatric community. And once I got there, actually I didn't apply for the job. They invited me. They gave me, well, Dr. Wong, I'll give you a double appointment. and great benefits and everything. And then I realized I don't like to be there because of my religious orientation. I don't like the close-mindedness of the Department of Psychiatry, 7th floor, San Francisco General Hospital. And I'm bilingual in Chinese, and I wanted to be part of the HIV psychiatric unit. People with HIV infection, it gets to the brain, and they would develop a lot of brain issues, which is psychiatric issues. So I wanted to be there. When my chief asked me, and then there was another gay psychologist, and he wanted to be at the HIV unit, so I didn't want to compete with him, so I said, it's okay. And he said, well, my chief said, how do you like being at African American psychiatric unit? I said, I love that. So I was on a black unit, teaching African American culture in diagnosis and caring for black patients, mainly very bright psychiatric residents. We have an Asian American psychiatric unit. I'm not part of that. And I only wanted to be there for a year because I just want to learn the methodology. Psychology is about methodology, psychiatry is about methodology. So when you learn the methodology, for what? It's for the mandate of the Bible. At the end of the day, it's the spiritual dimension they have to conform to. So after a year or so, I quit. People were so surprised. My chief said, well, why don't you go to Asian psychiatric unit, 7C. I was at 6B. Would that fit better? I said, no, I love 6B, the African American psychiatric unit. My chief loves me, I love her, and we love the patients and so on. It's hard work, but I like it. She said, oh, why don't I give you an associate professor? You don't even have to publish anything. No, I said goodbye. Nobody believed me. I have to sign a letter and say, I really want to resign. Because serving God is more important than serving what is politically correct. And I'm governed by biblical principles in my practice. So I have to go back to 1 Corinthians 6, 9 to 11. And people ask me, well, Melvin, all the things that you do, why are you involved in the LGBT? Right now it's an LGBT movement, I would say about 30 years ago. I don't know why. Again, it's about pain. It's about people who are suffering silently in the closet. And this is a passage that you're probably well aware of. Or do you not know that the unrighteous will not inherit the kingdom of God? Do not be deceived. Neither the sexually immoral, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor men who practice homosexuality, nor thieves, nor the greedy, nor drunkard, nor revelers, nor swindlers will inherit the kingdom of God. When I go all over the world, mostly in Asia, sometime in Europe and all that, I'll say, well, pastors, how is your church? Some pastors will say, well, we don't have gay people at our church. I say, why not? The Apostle Paul in the Church of Corinthians talk about that, and particularly no men who practice homosexuality. Then a healthy church would include people who are struggling in their gender, homosexuality, bisexuality, transgenderism. Because it was like other sins that we have, being greedy, too much to drink, a partier or clubber, going clubbing, or exaggerating, swindler, or cheating other people of money, or stealing and all that. It's only one of the many sins. But the important thing is, this is very biblical. Because in the LGBT movement, the activists, they will say, no, Jesus had nothing to say, said nothing about homosexuality. How dare you say something about it? Then we go over here and says, and such were some of you. Wow. Past tense. How come our churches don't have the ability to help people who have all kinds of sins of greed, clubbing, party goers, and too much to drink, or practice homosexuality, or gender confidence issues. So they become the power of transformation of the Bible. But you were washed, you were sanctified, you were justified in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ and by the Spirit of our God. This humbles me because I'm a psychologist. I'm supposed to know what works. Now, some people say, "Oh, you're Melvin Wong. You're the guy who researched how to do therapy for homosexuals." Right now, this is anathema in the United States. You get sued. In California, we have last year we have Assembly Bill 2943. They say you cannot say gay people has to be changed. The so-called conversion therapy or the reparative therapy. This is a misnomer. They don't even know what they're talking about. But if it becomes law, then churches may even be sued. Why? Because the designer of this assembly bill, he said, when you promise a customer the therapy, like a doctor and the patient relationship, when monies change hands, but then you cannot deliver the product, it's fraudulent. So churches will say, well, not us, we're not professionals. But the problem is, churches take tithes and offerings. So when pastors say homosexual can be changed, you can be sued. Wow, not a lot of churches knew that. But there are a lot of pastors who helped this guy to withdraw the bill last year. And then the new bill came, I think AC 9 or something. I'm not sure it's passed yet, but we'll see how it goes. Malaysia and Asia still has this window of time. We need to do something to serve our brothers and sisters. And I like parables. Parables are very easy to understand. So this is the parable of the lost sheep. It describes how the head shepherd would do everything. He's counting 97, 98, 99. What happened to that one sheep? Gone. Now, the biblical metaphor of people are like sheep is a good one. I've been around as a psychologist for a long time, and there's something called crowd psychology. We see a lot of crowd psychology happening in Hong Kong in the protests. People do unusual things when you have a pack together. And then, herding sheep is very difficult. They're kind of like mercury, they flow everywhere. So you have to have a shepherd dog, but then you have to have what is called a Judas goat. What is a Judas goat? Well, in New Zealand, there's a lot of sheep, and in California, we raise sheep and all that. We love rack of lamb. So we have to kind of, get them be slaughtered. But how do you get up sheep? Don't do that. You have a Judas goat. He is very special. He's alpha sheep, alpha goat, and all the sheep will follow him. And then a few sheep will follow him, and then the bunch will follow them. You don't even have the helicopter to herd your sheep. Went up a ramp to the slaughterhouse. At the top of the ramp, there's a little gate where the Judas goat will make a turn, and then the rest of the sheep will go tumbling down and get slaughtered. That's very easy. Because you have a bad leader to lead the sheep, everybody follows suit. I think the LGBT movement is very powerful. Our millennials, our children, we operate like sheep. We don't have kind of what I call insightful thinking. We cannot have independent thinking because the peer pressure is very strong. But the good shepherd will try to look for that one lost sheep. This is very powerful. The heart of the shepherd is say, I know my sheep by name. And one lost sheep, I want to do everything I can to find them. I think I like this picture. The Good Shepherd will do everything he can, including going through a lot of uncomfortable terrain, risky, high-risk kinds of location to locate the sheep. And notice this, I like this picture. All the vultures are circling around because they're expecting the sheep to die of thirst. And that's the breakfast. Rescue. The Lord has impressed upon us to say, at church, we have all kinds of sheep and we love the Lord, but there are a few that went wayward. We need to go after them. We have to go after them. It's an active behavior. We don't expect them to come in. That's the parable of the lost sheep. But I like this parable better. The lost coin. And this woman, this is Luke 15, 8 to 10, the lost coin. And it's interesting. This is at night at her house. She lost one of her 10 coins. Or what woman, having 10 silver coins, if she loses one coin, does not light up a lamp and sweep the house? You know, I'm not a theologian, but I'll say, hey, very simple. In the old days, you have 10 coins, you lost one, you want to find it. But the question is, why right now? Is it that important? Of course it is, a lot of money. I would say, if this is a woman and she lost her wedding ring and she has to go to a banquet tomorrow, I think she'll be very concerned about finding the ring. But in the old days, we don't have lamps that you turn on, like a power lamp. But you have to search and look. What I'm trying to say here, the metaphor or the parable is active, urgency. You have to look. You have to take the initiative. You don't expect a coin to come up to say, here I am. People say, well, I have the kind of remote control USB, kind of a Bluetooth, kind of find your key. All you have to do is beep it, and there it comes. No. You love something precious. You do everything, like a lamb, and sweep the house. And notice, and seek diligently until she finds it. The Lord's love, Jesus' love is like this, going through everything, urgently and gently until he finds it. So ladies and gentlemen, when we deal with people who are struggling with gender identity and whatever it is, they couldn't care less. So you have your church thing, and I live my own life, but they were lost. They were in the closet. We have to diligently, kindly light up a lamp and sweep the house, locate them, come out and come home. And when she has found it, she calls together her friends and neighbors, saying, rejoice with me, for I have found the coin that I had lost. Again, I'm not a theologian, and I'm not a Bible teacher. She had to use a lamp to locate the coin, and she found it. It's at 9 in the afternoon, 9 at night, or 10 at night, 11 p.m. She had the nerve to call together her friends and neighbors at night. Can you wait till tomorrow? No. She says, rejoice with me, for I have found the coin that I had lost. Gender confidence. Pamela, the story of Pamela. We have impressed upon Pamela and people like her, brothers and sisters and pastors that love her, that she can regain what God had intended in her life. The original creation, good looking, and full of confidence. Just so I tell you, there is joy before the angel of God over one sinner who repents. The lost coin. Singapore has done a lot of great pioneering work. I think within Asia, I would say Taiwan is very stable. There's the most Chinese literature is out of Taiwan. Singapore has a lot of ingenious ideas, focus on the family. Used to be Cy Rogers, the Exodus missionary in Singapore. And focus on the family. Recently, right now, we have brother Jason Wong. I think he's a genius. And the Lord allowed these people, like Ian Toh and many others like them. And I learned from the Singaporeans. I didn't know anything about Jason Wong. His predecessor, I do know, Tuan Seng Tan. And one day I was speaking at the Planned Parenthood in the annual conference in Singapore. He said, wow, what? You want to speak at the Planned Parenthood? No, they have become more conservative. And then Joanna Ko, in the passengers' seats of the car where the husband was driving, he said, Melvin, you got to have to see this about Jason's PowerPoint. I said, what's that? She opened her laptop and said, wow, let me get a copy. And here it is. There is a strategic framework to help people to prevent, to recover, or to restore from the lack of gender confidence. Number one, we have people who are struggling, like Pam. You have to first recognize there's something the matter with it. Even with the politically correct, deep down in you, you knew something was not right. And he or she will reach out and say, I need help. But they're in the closet. Then what would you do? Like the woman who lost the coin. You will go after them, shine a light on it, but not hurt them, and recover the precious value of the human nature. Or, like the Good Shepherd, you go through high-risk terrain just to call this sheep number 100 by name and say, come home. Church needs to offer a ministry. Does the church have a ministry for people? Like coming out? Does the church have ministry for parents of children who have come out? They are also in the closet because they cannot say anything about that. The pain is great. And do you have a ministry, a church, that can help in sex education, where children can be prevented from sexual abuse? And if they had experienced sexual abuse, are there recovery programs? When the struggler have become helped, they become the overcomer. And curiously, they have testimonies. We are seeing this here at this conference. Come out and come home. Again, the genius and the blessing of Singaporeans. When the overcomers become healed, they give testimonies, they engage with the activism. What is the activism? They say, there is hope. There is power in transformation. And it's not about a methodology. It's not necessarily a psychological process, which I know. But it's about relationship with Jesus Christ. The holier you are, the more spiritual you are, the more you can be conformed to the intended design of God. So you engage. And the next thing came out of Singapore, little did I know, True Love Is, 316 Church. When Tryphena first told me about it, wow, I was struck. Last year in Taipei, we have the Rainbow Crossing Festival. Kwai, number one, first time. And I ran into Ian's church and everything. Wow, I think the videos are very well made. I have used Pastor Sylvia's video in California many times. It's only 7 minutes long, and it is so powerful. Strugglers overcome by the love of Christ through pastors and leaders, and they can engage the crowd and the popular media and say, here I am. It's better for them to say it without the background to say that. So you need help? Here it is. So some people are moderate. They're straddling the fence. I don't need help. I'm okay. We make friends with them. This is the intervention, the way to go about it. At the end of the day, it's about the church. So we have to have biblical truth. We cannot have this pro-gay theology. Some of you have to know pro-gay theology. The best author is Joe Dallas, but I'm sorry Amazon has banned all his books. I'm so glad I have some of his books on Kindle. I hope Amazon will not lock the books, but I'll fight tooth and nail because I pay for them. You cannot lock me out of my books. Biblical truth, we have to protect marriages. Now, I've been around. I've been licensed over 30 years. I've been practicing psychology and psychiatry as a teacher, professor, for about maybe 37 years. Earlier I talked about Sigmund Freud. Everything about the mother, not true. Behind that mother who has trouble is really the husband who have hurt her. So we have to protect marriages. The best way to protect marriage is to have healthy men. Healthy fathers are first healthy husbands. Healthy husbands are first healthy men. Healthy men are first healthy boys. Healthy boys came from healthy parents, the chicken or the egg. But the world is not perfect. You know, I'm not sure about your parents. My parents weren't very healthy either. My mother's was my father's third wife. My father married. He's the firstborn son of the firstborn son, the Wong's family. And my mom married my father, knowing that he'd been married before, and he had a daughter. So when my mother married my dad, freely, not by arrangement by my grandfather. My grandfather was the typical Asian sick man. Asian sick man, 東亞病夫, because he was an opium smoker. From the day he was 12 years old and the day he was 72 years old, he died in the hospital trying to quit. I don't think he was trying to quit. He just couldn't make it. And my mother gave birth to my older sister. So my mother and the father's first wife became equal because they could only bring a daughter to the Wong's family until I was born. I redeemed my mother. I was the Wong's firstborn son's grandson. So my mother walked around very proud, and she raised me chubby, likable. So all my uncles will kind of hold my head and do my cheeks and all that. I don't like that. And one thing very strange, my mom would never let me get close to my grandfather. So once a year during Chinese New Year, I'll visit him. And my grandfather would say, "Oh, come up. I realized he was sleeping on a bed all by himself." I didn't realize it's an opium bed. People who smoke opium, they rather be flat. And he'll give me a hongbao, a red envelope of money in it. This is what I'm after. And the second thing he'll give is a pack of firecrackers. And then he will show me how to smoke opium. I know how to smoke opium. I know how to scoop it up. And you have to have a flame to burn it, to warm it, so it becomes a glob. And then you put that glob into the pipe. And then you suck one side of the pipe. And you enjoy it. And then smoke will be coming out of his nose. And he showed me how to do that. So I have a red paper envelope with money in it, firecrackers I can play, and then a pack of Lucky Strike cigarettes. I was only 5 years old. He's trying to groom me to be a cigarette smoker. How could I expect my dad to be healthy? He couldn't be healthy. And so my mom suffered a lot. My mom suffered because my dad had multiple affairs. And I didn't know anything about that. My grandfather didn't know how to proper him properly because my grandfather had 4 wives. My dad had 4 wives. So when I say, well, if I had 2 wives, I'll be 50% improved over my forefathers. No offense to women. 1 wife is enough, you don't need 2. But ladies and gentlemen, it's not that bad, okay? When I go to China, I will introduce my wife. This is my wife for 35 years. People say, so what? So, same woman. I said, wow. They expect to be multiple marriages and all that. So we have to have men who are healthy. So we have to raise up healthy men. There's a church of a men's breakfast. Again, the genius of Singapore, the revival of Singapore, it helped nations. Some of you know LGBT or the call to help with gender confidence is only one of the cause in my life. The other cause has to do with sexual abuse prevention. So I go to, again, through the blessing of Malaysian leaders like Pastor Tryphena and Sylvia. They become our friends and kind of family members. And they say, well, Melvin, you have to come to Sarawak. Where is Sarawak on the map? Never heard of it. Well, that was a few years ago. Now, I'm spilling Sarawak in my dreams because I have encouraged a lot of the Silicon Valley churches and say, oh, you go Sarawak, you go Malaysia and all that. And I'm glad, very honored today that I have my pastor, Pastor Brian Ouyang and Gina. And they are 3rd generation American-born pastors. And I say, wow, Brian, you come to Malaysia and just tag along and look and see. And they will say, okay, you come. And so Tryphena and Sylvia opened Sarawak to me, and we went to Miri, Cebu, and Kuching and all that. And we try to look at the indigenous people and the Ibans and everything, the longhouses and all that. I actually have taught in longhouses. Very hot, and, whatever. But I realized, of all the sexual abuse that happens, something the matter with men. So I ran into my Singaporean friend, Edwin Choi. I said, Edwin, you come to Miri to help me lah. And Edwin said, no problem lah, Melvin. It's only 2-hour flight from Singapore to Miri. Okay, so we do a conference together lah, Edwin. He said, no problem. I said, you come, and next time you bring your team, and we'll do a Dash for Life program. That happened. March of this year. Dash for Life, Sarawak. Oh, I'm so happy. And I heard, amen, huh? There were 8 men in the Miri Church, I think it's in Columbus or somewhere. They stood up and said, we want to help have strong men. The last time I was in Cebu and Miri, that was several months ago. And I realized they have already have leaders who are men who are teaching in longhouses now. So, wow, I'm so happy. And then a couple of weeks ago, Edwin texted me and said, Melvin, look what I'm doing. I said, yeah, you told me about Ulaanbaatar. Ulaanbaatar is the capital of Mongolia. I said, I'm at Ulaanbaatar with my son. I said, oh, that's great, Edwin. What's happening? He said, we're trying to do Dash for Life in Mongolia. I said, that's wonderful. And then he texted me the photo of Jason Wong with these military people. He was sitting right in the middle. This is a prison ministry of prisons. And because Jason his heart is with healthy men. So where it's at is men. We have to take our responsibility as leader and as lovers. We cannot be dependent, we cannot be passive, but we have to take initiative. No more the silence of Adam. The new Adam, Adam's eyes, is about hope, is about security. I don't teach it as well. My good friend, seminarian, Old Testament professor, David Atman, becoming what God had intended. This is his stuff. He says the Adam's eyes and the new Adam's eyes and so on. Men have to be reformed. Men have to be rehabilitated. We love the women. We care for them. We support them. We don't dominate against them. because we have gender confidence. I travel with my wife all the time, for 35 years now. Now, it's very true. When Tryphena said, we were afraid we may not be able to make it here. The long story was that 4 weeks ago, I was called to Myanmar. What's the call? Well, they have a lot of sexual abuse history. They have drug and alcohol issues. And I was trying to help a Christian woman who's single, 73 years old, do a mission. I said, Betty, what can I do? He said, so come help me. So what can I do? He said, why don't you teach the teachers how to care? I did that. And then that part of the world is close to the Myanmar border with China. And they have some civil wars. This is the Golden Triangle, where they raise opium. They don't only raise opium. They manufacture amphetamines. They manufacture fentanyl. And so the military and fighting the local military forces and all that. And the war came to us in our town, Kwai. And we were in lockdown for 6 days. I am so glad for my wife to be next to me. I felt I am home regardless wherever we were. There were gunfires and mortar fires everywhere. And because she was next to me, I was functioning as the best I can. Because my other half is with me to empower me. She will correct me. She will say things good about me. She will also say things bad about me. To tell you a long story, it's mind-blowing. When we were in lockdown, we couldn't go through the 48 miles to Lasio. This is the main airport, before we fly to Yangon. And we were texting Pastor Tryphena because she's like family now. So please pray for us. Well, little did I know, some of you get our text and pray for us. So I was the negotiator. I didn't know I was the negotiator. I thought I was just helping Betty. Why am I the negotiator? Because I'm a psychologist. I know how to keep cool and how people operate. I was connecting with the US Embassy and the Vice Consul. I said, Matt, please help us. Okay, tell us how many Americans are there. We have 8 Americans. We need to see their passports. Okay, I'll give them the passports. And I say, well, Matt, we have a team of 28. I want all 28 to leave together. And he says, I cannot promise that because this is not America. This is Myanmar. So he said, we have to talk to the ambassador. The ambassador have to talk to Washington, D.C. and NSA, whatever it is. A day later, he says, okay, we'll try. So I said, Matt, how are we going to evacuate? Well, there are only 2 ways, the roads or by helicopter. Well, are you serious? And so we waited and waited. The war got worse and worse. So because of the American influence, we have breakfasts with military people, carrying guns, but they're wearing flip-flops. Not to look down upon them. I'm saying the technology is very low, but they have the guns. So they said, well, don't worry about it. We have plainclothes soldiers around you, so you guys are okay. We have 8 Americans, some from China, from Hong Kong, and all that. So one night, Matt says, yes, we will try to evacuate you, probably a helicopter. But none of us know because this is the Myanmar military. Put the long story short, we were evacuated with helicopters. No one left behind, all 28 of them. We can't believe it. I think it happened partially because my wife loved me. She empowered me. She processed a feeling upon the first day. It's not that simple. You have 28 elite missionaries from China and all over the Asia region. When they have emotional problems, it's very serious. So our ambassador decided to have a conference call. I said, hi, Ambassador Scott, how are you? He says, oh, we're doing well. We're doing what you can for you. How are you? I said, well, today's temperature is very stormy. And we had a lot of storms this morning. There were thunderstorms. And he said, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I said, thank you for your call. The storm is calm now. We don't have hurricanes, no typhoons, and no tornadoes after you call. because all the emotions were very up and down. So I keep a cool head, and the Lord evacuated us. It became history. So thank you for your love, and we are here because of your prayer support and everything. When a man is healthy, we can do a lot of good things. So we have to have effective parenting, and because mother is healthy, mother feels love, and she's secure. So listen to the husband. So we can do sex education together. We can talk about the M subject, masturbation. Wow. And sexual abuse prevention, and finally, gender intelligence. What is gender intelligence? What we are talking about is gender intelligence. Raising gender-confident kids, how to be strong, how do you see of yourself, your appearance, your self-esteem, your competence, 3 things. So a person cannot be judged just from the outside. So Jason Wong's schema is also very good. Prevention, we have to start young, from children to youths and young adults. What about people like us? I'm a dinosaur, we're old, but we can still get educated because a lot of people listen to us. I have short-term mission people who are in the 60s. They say, well, Melvin, what can we do? We're kind of old. Don't worry. Because of your age, you can hug somebody and say, I'm so proud of you. These people are so in need of a father or a mother to say that you're proud of them. Then what we need to do is start educating worldviews, healthy worldviews, Christian worldviews, strengthen families. Lastly, help fathers to be strong. My grandfather couldn't do it. My father couldn't do it. By the grace of God, my professors and friends, pastors helped me. So I am the man that I am today because of them. I understand my parents' brokenness, but I am determined to transform it. This is through the grace of God. Effective parenting, sex education, sexual abuse prevention, and develop gender intelligence. Most important is build men who are good husbands, who are good fathers, beginning from kindergarten. Now, something very practical. At your church, you have a nursery, kindergartners. I encourage brothers to serve there. Most kindergarten teachers are women because they're kinder, they're softer, and all that. But healthy guys, if you're in the 20s or something, I want you to go serve in the kindergarten classes. Why? We will say there are boys or sons from single mothers. Where do they get the masculine role modeling? It's not the fault of the mother. The mother cannot be both father and mother together. The mother could not offer something she doesn't have, which is masculinity. So what do you mean, Melvin? Well, men and women operate differently when they do parenting. So at the church kindergarten, if you have a little boy, 6, 7 years old, is crying, I want a brother, a guy, to comfort him, to hold him, to touch him, not to scold him, but encourage him. Then this boy will grow up more healthy. Okay, within the church, we have to serve people with same-sex attraction intentionally. We don't fight them. You say, well, Melvin, this is a sin. Sexual behavior outside of marriage is sin. Heterosexually or homosexually or whatever. Homosexual sin is similar or like that of the heterosexual sin. Why are we so concerned? Because it's homosexual. We have to get educated. We have to be intentional because this is the lost sheep. This is the lost coin. We have to take a lamb, the truth of Jesus, to shine a light on the darkness. It's not the fault of the lamb that the sheep that got lost. Somehow there was some attraction that distracted the sheep. We have to balance truth with grace. Very difficult. There are churches who just say, this is a sin, but then is there anything else you offer? We have to offer both, have good balance. I would say, now my wife and I travel across the Pacific many, many times. We lost count. And because I'm American, I generally travel United Airlines. We've done it for 25 years. We have over 1.7 million miles, and we got tired of it. We gave it up. So we're flying Hong Kong Airline, Cathay Pacific now. And I say, well, I know airplanes a lot. I know where the seats are. I know what planes are safe, what planes are not safe. For a plane to travel 8,044 miles to Singapore, you have to have both wings balanced. If you don't have both wings balanced, you're not going to go through that 8,044 miles without trouble. So the church ministry has to balance truth and grace. This is like a magnet. If you have grace and you have truth, people will be attracted. But grace first. Speaking the truth in love first. But you say, well, this is truth too. But is it okay that you become the Lord's negotiator? What are you negotiating? Can you have a positive no? I'm quoting from William Ury. He's the master of negotiation out of the Harvard program on negotiation. He said, can you have a positive no? You're compromising. If you are very confident with your truth, you can have a positive no or getting to yes. These are two books William Ury used. These are academia. Well, why don't you look at Chris Voss? Now, the Global Leadership Summit will come to Malaysia, I think in October. Go listen to Chris Voss. Chris Voss is not an academician. He's just an FBI negotiation leader. Wow, he got some good things to say. He said, you have to have empathy when you negotiate. You don't have any clout unless you can emotionally connect. Okay, we apply that negotiation skill in a very difficult setting. LGBT people come to church, and what would you do? So, Jesus loves you. You say, wow, are you endorsing the behavior? So, grace and truth have to come together through love and empathy. So, buy this book. This is the best book there is, I would say, globally. You say, well, Melvin, you're in Malaysia, you're just patronizing the Malaysians. No, because I've been the chairman of Exodus Global Alliance, so I kind of know the global pulse, and this is the best, meaning there is no 80 pages or 90 pages of a book that gives you a complete manual of grace and love and truth in the serving of LGBT people. So please buy this book before it runs out. A manual to understand and journey with the same-sex attracted. The Malaysians translated this from Chinese to English. The question is, how comes America don't have this? We are 10 years behind. 10 years behind. I'm importing books from Malaysia back to the United States because the United States are losing it now. Within the church, we serve SSA people intentionally. What about seminary education? Do you have the opportunity to give people who are formerly LGBT, but they were, but not anymore, for them to give testimonies? Can you talk about sexual abuse prevention? Could that be part of the curriculum? Can we give answers? Parishioner may ask you a question. Can you give credible answers? That increases gender IQ. And here we have all the main organization, EGA, Exodus Global Alliance, which is World Global, RHN, Restore Hope Network is American. It replaces Exodus International North America, which have closed down disgracefully. PLUC, C7, Malaysia, Rainbow 7, which is Taiwanese, New Creation, Dr. Hong's founded it, and PGA, Post-Gay Alliance, and JCM, Japanese Creation Ministries. This is all over Asia and America. So can you talk about some of that? Can you at least give your seminarians the link or some of the soft copies of the manuals? Support and understanding with love. How do you express that? What about the gays' parents, parents of gay children and their lovers? When you have an LGBT couple and one of them got broken up, would you say, see, you deserved it? No. We have to have empathy and say, it must hurt because it's still a breakup of a romantic behavior. Then we have to attend to them. It's like a romantic breakup. Can you do that? You say, you're compromising. No, hurt is hurt. We need to attend to that like the lost coin, like the 99 sheep that was put together, in safe place, and then look for that one that's missing. Parents of gay children hurt a lot. In the United States, they'll say, they have homophobia, they have internalized homophobia, that's why they hurt so much. No, could it be that out of love and expectation, they do hurt? May not be out of phobia. Gay Christian, gay seekers, and gay people. Now, I know some of you have debated the question about gay Christians. Well, there are people who want to be faithful, yet they're gay. Can we be their friends? Little did I know when the former leader of Exodus Global Alliance, Frank Worthen, he told me, he's a good friend of mine. He said, Melvin, this leader is just so emotional. I can't take it anymore, so I'm going to quit. I said, Frank, don't quit. And I waited a whole year. And then EGA didn't have a chairman. So they voted me in, so I became a chairman. Generally, these leaders are not so-called straight people like me. They're generally people from the background. It is actually better because they know the culture. And then I invited this Reverend Thomas Wang, and who is supposed to be the Chinese, kind of like the Billy Graham of Chinese missions. And he's very full of, he's a guy with a lot of wisdom. He passed away when he was 94 years old. And I invited him to speak at the Exodus Global Alliance in Toronto, May 14, 2005. I did not know why I took the picture. Now I do. And this is the picture I took. And you know what he said? He says, homosexuals are the new unreached people group. So he coined the term of gender missionaries. In other words, like the Good Shepherd, we are going out to risky territory to serve that one sheep. Like the lost coin, we look day and night very carefully for that one lost sheep. This is the unreached people the Lord loves. They are behind the closet. We have to open the closet very gently. There may be skeleton in it, doesn't matter. I have skeleton in my closet too. And let's be friends. Outside the church, compassion without compromise. We need to realize that sex culture, there is hegemony, meaning cultural colonization. This is what the United States does. They give you foreign aid, you have to have abortion on demand, and the sex culture. You have to serve them. We have to provide sanctuary and welcoming community, the church. The principle is don't inflict hurt if you can do it. Balance grace and truth. And the church has to be the safest place on earth. I didn't put it together like that. It's Larry Crabb. There's a book by that name. How come the church is not the safest place on earth? We have to restore the safety. You heard about safe places, microaggression, trigger warning. These are all the millennial lingo, but there's some truth in it. And this is the leadership of Dr. Hong, and In Hong Kong, we have a missionary, Yami. Her call, the Lord raised her up to serve people with gender issues in Hong Kong. She's the first gender missionary. The parable of lost sheep, now that the tax collectors and sinners were all drawing near to them, and the Pharisee and the scribes grumble, and it says, this man received sinners. Other people will criticize you and eats with them. Then my question to you is, have you eaten with a sinner like me? Former sinner? This man received and eats with them. When's the last time you hugged a homosexual? When's the last time you ate with them? And I hope by the grace of the Lord, they will feel welcome, they will feel safe. And we don't want them to be changed right at the doorstep. But rather, when they develop a close relationship with Jesus Christ, holiness and spiritual maturity will help them restore the gender confidence that the Lord had created in them. It's in them, it's a matter of safety to bring it forth. Thank you.